Hi everyone. Today what we are going to do is we are going to talk about product case studies for data science interviews. So before I start with the today's data, I just want to give a brief introduction about myself. So thank you for the introduction, but I'll also take you through what I have been doing for the last 7 years. Currently, I'm a senior data scientist working in Atlassian, which is a SaaS product company. Previously, I have worked as a senior data scientist in the marketing analytics team of a company name called AB InBev, which is a brewery. And previous to that, I have also worked in Swiggy and I have also worked in a startup which has been acquired by Accenture. So this has been my analytics journey in the last 7 years. Why I chose to talk about this very topic is because I feel what happens is that whenever you are going through any interview process for any company, you are not only asked questions on your coding knowledge, but you are also asked, there will always, and most of the times there's a round on case study, and there are many ways to answer questions on case studies, but it is always better to go through a structured format, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. So first of all, I want to set the agenda. Just give me 1 minute. So today's agenda will be, first of all, why are product-based case studies so important? So what we are going to go through is, why is a company looking for a person who can structurally answer a case study? So what exactly is your interviewer, is your company looking for? So this is the first question. So this is going to be covered in our agenda. Second is, there's only one type of case study and this is something that is asked in almost all companies, and that is root cause analysis, which is, something goes wrong, something looks off. How do you handle that as an analyst, as a data scientist? So this is the problem or the type of problem that we are going to solve. We are going to do a walkthrough. So I have two examples, and what I want to do is make this interactive. So when we go through these like real life examples, I want to talk about, I want to hear from you how you are going to come to the final solution. So as long as you can reply on chat box, we can walk through an example. And finally, what we are also going to see is tips to ace a case study round, what you should do, what you should not do to solve this round. And this case study round is always the middle round. So there's a hiring manager round, then there is a technical round, then you have case study, then you have more of a behavioral round. This is what normally companies follow. So case study is going to be a middle round, and it's very important for you to crack this to finally get that like job offer. So I will also go through what are the best ways, or what are the best ways to ace this round. Cool. So the first point is, what are product-based case studies? So product-based case studies is that you are working in, say, a product company like Facebook, and the product that you are using is WhatsApp. So what you have to do is, so as a data scientist, what happens if you're working in a product company? You're going to work with many product managers, designers, data engineers, and to make sure that the product is always working smoothly. If there is any issue, work on those issue. If you have to launch a new feature in the product, make sure that everything is built smoothly so that you can launch the feature. So these are certain types of things that happens when you're working in a product company as a data scientist. Now, what is basically an interviewer looking from you when they are asking you case studies in a interview? So first of all, as I mentioned, that these are very important for any data science aspirant looking for a role in a product company. What will an interviewer understand when they give you a business problem or a problem regarding a product. First of all, uh, as I said, being a data scientist not only means that you have to write code or you have to build a model, but it's very important, and it's the first step is to structure a problem, that whether you understand what the problem is, whether you can deep dive and figure out a solution. So that is what an interviewer is looking for, that you can think through a problem and structure it. The next part is your decision making. So any problem that is coming to you, anything related to the product that is coming to you, there are multiple ways to solve this problem, right? Which one will you choose? So that is also very important. What will you prioritize, and why will you prioritize that? So that is also something that the interviewer is looking for. And the third part is coming up with a cost effective solution. So when I'm talking about cost, I mean resources. For example, the tables you are using, the data you are using, also the time you are taking. There might be a solution which will take, say, 1 month, and there might be a quicker solution which will do the same job, which is going to take 1 week. So obviously, an interviewer will want to get the quicker solution from you. So so time is also cost here. So basically, in any company or any interviewer is going to look for a candidate who can give the most cost effective solution. So this is the second point. And thirdly, most tech companies will have a case study round in the interviews to assess a candidate's ability to think through a product based business problem. So basically, what this means is that if you are applying for a data science position or a data engineer position in a product company, companies would want to know that you know their product, and case study rounds is the best round and the best way to showcase how much knowledge you have of the product. So that is why I'm saying that case study interviews are most important, or one of the many important rounds that has to be cleared if you for that offer. So I am just going through the Q&A ones just to make sure that if there are any questions regarding this. Okay. Please keep posting the questions on the Q&A portal, and I will keep on looking at them intermittently to answer any of the questions. So the next part is basically we are going to solve one type of problem, which is the root cause analysis. So root cause analysis is it's a very common problem that is being solved by analysts and data scientists across companies, where what happens is that something has gone off, something is wrong with the product, and a product manager or a business head, somebody comes to you and says that this is what the number that I'm seeing doesn't look right, it's looking off, can you help me with it? So basically this means that something has gone wrong and you are trying to find out the root cause of it. So that is what root cause analysis actually means. So we will see what are the ways to solve the root cause analysis, what are the ways to solve a problem, and how to structure it. So suppose the question is Netflix users has gone down. What do I do? So if you get a question like this, if something like this comes up, the first thing to do is clarify and understand that whenever an interviewer is talking about a certain metric going down, clarify what that metric means. So we will look at the first part of the problem, that is, what is the metric. So when you are seeing a question like Netflix users, what do you mean by users? Is it somebody who is a subscriber? Has that gone down? Does it mean that the number of, say, movies that people are watching, that has gone down? Does it mean the number of times a person is logging into Netflix, on an average number of time a person is logging into Netflix in a day, has that gone down? So first of all, it is very important to clarify what is the metric that product manager is worried about. So because this is also one thing, don't jump into the solution directly. For example, if I say Netflix users have gone down, and the assumption is that users means people who like login has gone down, and then you go on to solve the problem. That is not the correct way to do. First of all, ask clarifying questions on what that metric means. So this is the first part. Then the second part is accounting for error. So many a times what happens is that when something goes wrong, we should first look at what is happening inside, what is happening in the in calculating that metrics. So so normally what happens is that when you track metrics like that, say for example users, or number of times somebody is logging in, or all the other metrics that we mentioned before, there's always a tracking method. There might be some dashboard, something or the other, which is tracking this. So first of all, as an analyst, what you should see, the first question you should ask is that working correctly? Is that dashboard refreshed? Are you looking at the correct number or not? So because many a times what happens is that the number for some reason hasn't been refreshed, something has gone wrong at the back end, and that's why that number looks off. So always look inward, account for error. So first of all, let's do that. Then secondly, normally what happens is that when there is a metric that has gone up or down and is behaving differently from what it is expected to behave like, there can be one reason that can happen, that it's happening, is because there has been a change in the calculation. So for example, if I'm talking about average number of people in, say, in Bangalore who are logging into Netflix has gone down. If I'm saying something like that, then what we should look at is that the way we are calculating that average, the numerator that I'm using, the denominator that I'm using, if whether I'm using any filter or not, all of this has to be consistent, so that I know that what I'm calculating is not different from what I used to calculate before. So basically make sure that whether the calculation of the metric has changed or not. So that is a second thing. So first of all, what the clarifying question, what is the metric that you're talking about, and secondly, what is any accounting for error. The third part is looking inward. So every time something looks off in a metric, we should always ask questions on, is there any new feature introduced in the product? Okay, so something has happened in the product, which is why, so for example, in Netflix, Netflix has made it, suppose, mandatory for a user to use a password to log in. Normally this doesn't happen. Normally you have an option to choose whether you want to have a password or not, but suppose Netflix has made it mandatory. This is like a new feature, this is a change in the product, so this can deter users from logging into Netflix. So these are questions that you should ask, that has anything happened because of which you are seeing something off. So this is one question. Any new any change in any of the features. So what happens is, many times in different products, in say in Facebook, in WhatsApp, certain things are changed, and that has that can offset the use. People don't really accept what, like, the sudden new change, and that makes people use less of the product. So that can also happen. Any new product release, suppose Netflix has also acquired some other product, which is like which is a online streaming service, and they have launched that product. So that can also help users move from Netflix to that new product, and that is why Netflix users have gone down. So that something like that can also happen. And also questions on, is there a problem? I mean, when you are seeing a problem like this, that users are going down, where is it happening? Is it only happening on mobile device? Is it happening on desktop, like on web? Is it happening on iOS or Android? So that you can create segments and figure out where that problem is lying. You can also create geographical segments. So every time somebody asks you, this has gone down, where is it happening? Because Netflix is global, right? So it can happen anywhere. For example, very recently Netflix users had gone down in India, right? So every time there's a question on this, you should always break down and keep on asking questions so that you know where exactly the problem lies. So that is the third point. And fourth is product funnel and customer behavior. So basically what this means is that if you are asked a question of a case study, of a product based case study, make sure that you can explain that user behavior through user behavior or a user journey. So what that means is that if I have to explain to a product manager of Netflix how I use Netflix, or how users are going through that journey, what are how does that journey look like? It's like I am logging into Netflix, I am switching, there might be multiple accounts, right? I'm choosing my account. If I have a password, I put that password. Then I browse through the content that is there. Then I click on a particular content, which can be a movie or a series or whatever. And then I watch that. I pause it, I don't pause it, I return back. So all of this can happen in a user behavior journey, right? So it is very important that you explain this to the interviewer so that they understand that yes, you know about the product, and from there you can understand where exactly this is going, where exactly this problem is happening, where you are going wrong with the metric. So these are certain ways to structure the problem and help understand where exactly the problem lies and give a solution on it. So this is basically the main part of how to solve how to do a root cause analysis. I'll pause for a minute and I'll just check the Q&As if there are any questions on the if there are any questions on this. Please keep posting it on the Q&A or on chat. I'm looking into it. Okay, so next is what we will do is what I want to do is we want solve two real life examples. These are problems which are asked in interviews, and what I want to do is you should be creating a structure and ask, as we spoke before this, right? That asking clarifying questions like what is the metric, accounting for error, looking inward, and then creating a customer behavior funnel or a product behavior, user behavior funnel. Let's do this and figure out what is the best way to solve this problem. I have also created a sample answer for each of these questions, so we will see like what you are going to the answers you're going to come up, it might be different from what I have, but let's go through that and figure out what can be the best solution. So the first question that we are going to talk about is that you are working as a data scientist in an e-commerce company, and the business head comes and tells you the company has not done well in this quarter. Please help me understand why. How do you go on about solving this problem? So can we have a few answers so that we can talk through it and understand, and then I will go to the sample answer that I have for this question. Exactly. So Devanshu writes that what is the definition of not doing well? What kind of performance are you looking for? Good. This is a very good question. So if it is something like this, suppose the business side tells you that this is a I am not seeing a good profit in this quarter. So I'm not seeing a good profit in this quarter. So what is the next thing that you should do? So Mayank writes, any change in operating procedure? There is no change in the operating procedure as such, but I do see a change. I do see a change in the profit. Okay, so there is an answer on performance difference from last quarter. Yes, there is a performance difference, which is why it is running the business head. So how will you solve this? Anything else? So I am getting answers only on the metric. So let me let me give this answer, and then we will work from there. So the profit has gone down, and from there I can also say that, because like profit is made of two things, right? There's a revenue and there's a cost, and I can see a lot of answers coming on cost, right? That there is something, there is a transportation cost has increased, or cost of operating has increased, input cost. So I will clarify this and say that cost is not the problem here, revenue has decreased, cost remains same. If something like this happens, what is the next step to this problem? Okay, another answer that I am seeing, which is a good point, not an answer, a good point to look at, is competitor behavior. So as I said from the previous, if you look at the previous slide, first of all, we will see what is happening in our company, in the company that I'm working in. Is anything wrong there? And then if I see that, any of the details that I'm looking through, if that doesn't make sense, I will see what is happening in the outside world, what is happening for the competitor. But I think let's look at first what's happening in the company itself. Yeah, so Mayur writes that in which area the sale is declining. This is a very good point. So as I said before, always break down it into into smaller segments, so that you can see, for example, e-commerce, it works across a country or maybe across the globe, and there may be many segments to it. So there are geographical segments, like different continents are behaving differently. Then there is also segments, as in what you are selling. It can be retail, it can be electronic gadgets, it can be grocery. So you should also ask question on where exactly this profit is going down. I am also getting a question from Philip that whether revenue is that the calculation has changed or not. No, it has not changed. So another question, another point from Gokul is, which specific product is contributing for revenue loss? Okay, so what if I tell you retail? Retail in India has low profit in this quarter. From asking all the questions that you have asked, this is something that you have solved. What is the next question, and what do you think can be a real reason for this to happen? Any answer on this? What are the next set of questions that you should ask? So one very good point brought out by Veera is seasonality check. This is very important. Every time there is some decrease or increase in sales, you should always look at seasonality. For example, Diwali is a time when sales will be up, but say sometime somewhere in Feb or March, sales are down, and that is seasonal. That happens every year. So if something like that happens, you should it should not be of a concern. But for this problem, say that there is no seasonality. There is no reason for the profit to be down, but somehow the profit is down. So what should we look at? I am also getting the point from Shubhashmita that in which is there any seasonality? So I said there is no seasonality. Is there any removal of product from the list of products? No, the products that we have is same. So let me give some hint here. Revenue, just as we broke down profit equals to revenue minus cost, you need to break down revenue to understand what exactly is happening. So how do you calculate revenue? So I am also getting some points on that how do you calculate revenue for a question, for a metric, for a revenue metric? How are you calculating that? Can anybody answer this? How do we normally calculate revenue? So see, revenue will basically be total product sold into the price. right? So if I have one apple costing me 10 rupees, then 5 apples will give me a revenue of 50. That is how simple the revenue calculation is. Now, at this point, you can break down the problem and see, okay, if revenue is going down, which of this is going down? So yeah, so Savan has come up with the correct answer. Sorry, not Savan. Total product sales into price. So if I say that the product, the quantity that has been bought has remained same, but the revenue has gone down, what will that mean? Exactly. So price has decreased. So at this point, you have understood that this segment there has been a price decrease, and that is why the revenue has gone down. So you ask your business head that why is there a price decrease, and your head tells you that, oh yeah, I remember, we are putting some kind of discount for each of the items in retail, like accessories and outfits and so on, to clear our inventory. So there has been a decrease in the price, which is why the revenue is going down. So we are almost there at the solution of the problem. So what is the next step? What can you tell the business head? What is the solution to this? I think you have already found out that price decrease is the reason this has happened. But what is the next step? What can the business do better so this doesn't happen later on, maybe in the next quarter? Good. Plan inventory better is a one very good way to, so that, see, planning inventory better will also mean that I will have to clear out certain items uh, so that we can consider feedback of customers and increase the quality of products. Okay, one thing to note is that, see, what is happening here is that even though price is falling, the revenue is the quantity. Normally what happens when price falls, the quantity that you are purchasing should rise, because it is influencing you to buy more. But no, what is happening here is that is not the case. So we should look at price elasticity. So this is something that happens a lot in in any company which is in sales, which is selling something. Okay, people, you check the price elasticity, that if I increase or decrease the price, how will consumers react to it? So we look at historical data and see that if I have decreased the price, people are buying more. So you give discounts on those. But there are some items where even if I give discounts, people are not buying more. So I don't give discounts on that item. So these are things that you can do to help plan better and make sure that your revenue is not affected. So I think we have got a lot of answers for this. Let's do something. Let's quickly go through the, like, stage by stage, the way to ask the questions to get to the end of the answer, to the solution. However, please note that there are multiple ways to solve this problem, and you have to keep asking questions to understand where exactly the problem lies. Any change in the answer to these questions can completely change your solution. So this is something very important, which is why I'm mentioning it again. Always ask clarifying questions. So repeating the question, company has not done well in this quarter of an e-commerce company. What is the reason? So as we discussed, what is the metric? Profit has gone down. Profit means what? It's revenue minus cost. Which one is it? It's revenue. Then we have how are we calculating the metric? We are calculating it correctly. There has been no change. Any new feature, so we should always look at the product feature, anything that has changed. So here what happens is that suppose you are using an app and something has changed in the app and you are not liking the layout anymore, so you don't go into that app anymore. That can also be a reason for you to not buy. Okay, so if this answer was yes, the solution to the way you would have structured the problem would become very different. So that is something that you should keep in mind. The next is there any seasonality? Like, is this expected? Does it happen every quarter, in the same quarter of every year or every alternate quarter? No. Then this is also something which we discussed. Breakdown. Some segments are geographical segments, platform, which is website or app, mobile device, the category of product where you are seeing this problem. Then is how drastic is the drop. This is an important point. Every time there is a question that comes like this is not working, always ask, clarify whether this the fact that the percentage of drop, the number, is it very uh, like very drastic, is it very important for the business? Because if it's not, then it's not a business problem that you need to solve, right? So this is also a question that you should ask. And from here what we see, we discuss this. Revenue is calculated as total price into quantity. Here the price has changed. This is the first step to understand that the items that were on discount were price inelastic. What does price inelasticity mean? That the fall in price due to the discount did not really increase the quantity bought by a higher percentage, leading to total fall in revenue. So this is what is happening. The advice to businesses, next time there are any discounts, please check historical price elasticity and then give discounts, as we mentioned. So this is the first problem that we had. I'll just take a pause and I'll just go through the questions if there are any questions on this. Unless you okay, sharing the deck, I think, yeah, this deck will be shared with you by the end of this session. So going back to the second question. So we will start with the second question. So the second question is, you are working as a data scientist in a ride-hailing service company. Ride-hailing service company can be like Uber, Rapido, etc. The product manager you work with comes and tells you users have gone down. What do I do? How do you structure this problem? So let's start with this. What are like the first things that you will do? What are the first things that you will ask to understand how to solve this problem? You can start writing on chat and yeah. Exactly, metrics. What metrics have gone down? So what are those metrics? Any idea? So Mayur, when you write metrics, can you give examples of metrics which means users? So I can see time of arrival, number of rides, number of users. Okay, so one important thing to remember whenever you are being asked a question like this, or products like Uber, say any food delivery app like Swiggy, they have two kinds of users, right? One person who is, for example, in Uber, someone who is booking the cab, so it's a customer, and the other person is a driver, right? Driver or rider. So which one is it? So this is very important, and I think Biju has mentioned this, that users equals to what. So a good point here. You should first understand and first clarify who are you talking about. So suppose I am talking about customers, like a person who is going to book a cab and get a ride and go to a particular destination. So if that is the user, how do you go on about solving this? Is there anything? So the first point, again, I'm mentioning this again. The first thing to do is look inward. If users have gone down, what are the things that we should look at? So the first thing that we do is understand, is there anything wrong with our calculation? And the product manager tells you no, all the calculations are fine. And then we can put this, divide this into segments and see where exactly users are going down. So can you guys mention some segments in the chat, and then we can discuss each of them? Okay, geographical segments is a good point. Like where exactly users are going down? Is it US? Is it is somewhere in UK, in France, in India? So suppose I say it is in India where this is happening. Another very good point is time interval. When is this happening? Is it happening in the morning hour, or the afternoon, say 12 to 3, or sometime late night? So that is another thing where this is happening. Another good point is, which segment is this happening when it comes to the car? Is it premium car, mid range, maybe bikes, auto for us in India? uh, demographic segment. So can you explain what demographic segment is? I don't know whether you can capture that age for as a data. I think that is mass, so I don't think that can be used. But good point. There are other segments also we can look at. Also, one important thing is whenever you see users have gone down, check whether this is happening in which source is the problem. It can sometimes be that there is some product change which is only affecting iPhone users and it's not affecting Android. And you can go and check that okay, it's only the iPhone users who are where users have gone down, whereas Android users are fine. So that is also a segment you should always think of when you are talking about like a app, when you're talking about a product like that. So I am also getting available drivers around area. Say available drivers is fine. Increase in rentals, festival season, yes. So these are segments. So one important thing, whenever looking at you are looking at these kind of what has happened, always talk about the user behavior funnel that we spoke about. So what does a user behavior funnel here mean? It means that if you have to use Uber, what are the steps you will take? First you will log in, then you are going to put your destination, then you are going to browse through what to pick, the cab, the whether it's a prime, whether it's mini, whether it's auto, whether it's Uber pool, all of this. Then you select and then you pay and then you book, right? So this is the funnel that a user is, or a journey that a user is taking in Uber while booking a cab. So you need to figure out so always make sure that you are talking about this funnel in the interview, so that the interviewer gets a good idea that you know about this product and you know what steps to look at while seeing where users have gone down. And then you can pinpoint that okay, this is the place, this is the step where users are falling off, signing out. This is where users are going down. So that is a good way to diagnose a problem. Okay, so let's just go through the solution one from like a structured way, what we are seeing. I'll go through the solution now. So the first question is, what does it mean users? And we have found out that it is like the riders. It's not the drivers, but it's the riders. It's customers who are booking for the cab. How do we calculate these users? So always whenever you are asking for a metric, try to give examples of that metric, so that again the interviewer knows that you know of many metrics that are tracked by any for any product. So whether there are average riders per day, total riders, total rides taken, and I see that total rides have gone down. Now, has there been any product release and your product manager says that no, there hasn't been. Then this is the part where you break down into segments. Where are the total rides going down? So there are going to be geographical segments, mobile device, it's happening in which of the devices, then the type of ride, whether it's car, auto, bike, etc. And we come to know it's in all of them. Now, this is the part where we are talking about that funnel. So where exactly are users dropping off? So user funnel for a ride hailing app will look like this. Sign in, users entering destination, choosing the type of ride, choosing the mode of payment, and booking. So in this particular problem, what we are seeing is that once the rider chooses mode of payment, he or she is signing out of the app. So this is where the drop is happening. This is where users are moving out of the app, and this is exactly why the total rides are going down. So if something like this happens, then you can ask the product manager, okay, the users have, this is where users are signing off. Anything that is happening here, any problem that is happening here, and the product manager finds out and tells you that there has been some issue with mode of payment page. Like when you choose to book and then you get to mode of payment, right? It's cash or Paytm or credit card, and you see credit card is not working. So the mode of payment, say, which most people use, it's not working, which is why on doing a deeper dive, you can see that total rights that have been taken during the decrease, say that time period, say for 1 month, has happened only because credit card couldn't be used. So this can be one very good reason why total rights have gone down. So in conclusion, the product feature changed due to some glitch, some glitch that has happened, and the total rights went down. So this is how you can solve a problem like this. Okay, so the previous problem was more of a business problem. So we were looking at through a business lens, like revenue, cost, price, quantity, that way. Here the problem is more of a technical problem. Something is happening from the technical side. So which is why here we are looking at how a user is behaving through the journey, and trying to diagnose the problem, that where exactly is the user facing that difficulty. So these are two very basic examples of root cause analysis, but these are very commonly used across data science interviews. I think this is what I have as examples of root cause analysis. What we will now talk about is certain things that you can do while solving a case study, and especially in a case study round, which will help ace the interview, and uh, make sure that that your interviewer knows what you're talking about. So certain things that you can do is have a framework. Make sure you have a structured framework. Every time there's a question given to you, the first thing is not to solve the answer. The first thing is to ask clarifying questions, look inward, account for error, and then create a funnel out of which you can solve the problem. So have that framework in mind, but make sure you're not memorizing it. So suppose the problem digresses from what you thought your framework is, make sure that it is something you can solve, even if it's not aligning to your framework. So this is very important. The second thing is, as I've already said many times, always try to build this user funnel as a user journey as a part of the case study. Why? Because it helps you, showcase that you know about that product, and it helps you diagnose where exactly that problem is lying. So this is another part. The third point is, anytime you go for a product based company interview process, make sure you know about the product, because many a times they will ask you about that product, their own product, and a case study around it. So make sure you know the business goals, the revenue, how Facebook is making revenue, or how Uber is making their revenue, as well as the mottos of the organization. So make sure this you are very well aware of this. um, as I said, always ask clarifying questions so that you can structure your problem better, and you can segment it into better answers. And even if you have found out one solution, always mention 2 to 3 other things that could have been done. As I mentioned before, that one business problem may not have one solution. There can be many solutions to it, many ways to attack the problem. Always mention 2 to 3 other things that can be done to signal completeness in your thought process, that you know about the product, you know about their goals, you know about how they are making revenue, their business model, and there are different that there you know that there are other ways also to solve the problem. One might be more efficient than the other, but you know about it. So these are the final tips for case studies in interviews. So this is what I have from my end. Thank you.